Roll call, please.
Dominic, Johnson, Williams, Lynn, Bowman, Baker, Lynch, Escaday, Thibodeau, Cox, Smith, Epperson.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. President.
All right, Ms. Baker, would you lead us in the invocation, and Mr. Epperson, the pledge?
Let us bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you, Lord, for another day. Thank you for another opportunity to come and make decisions for your people. We pray and ask that you will touch our hearts and our minds, Father God, and give us the right decisions to make for your people. Lord, we thank you for watching over us and keeping us through Hurricane Isaac. And we also thank you, Father God, for blessing and being with those that are on our sick list. We pray and ask that you would just continue to keep us. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Amen. All face the flag. All active military and veterans render a hand salute. All others, place your right hand over your heart and repeat the pledge in unison. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Justice for all.
You have any agenda additions? Yes, please. Mr. Escaday.
I would like to add under agenda additions for Thursday that we allow Ms. Stacy Brown with the Tourist Commission to come speak to us. She wants to update us on the City Classic, the Tech A&M game, and the other activities that they've been up to.
All right.
If I could get a second, that'd be for Thursday.
All right. Cast your vote, please. And that passes. All right, it'll be Mr. Dominic.
Yeah, I'd like to add another addition to Thursday under new business for the confirmation of Kevin Lawrence as our facility and maintenance director.
Second. All right. Second. Cast your vote, please. And that passes. All right, citizens' comments. Citizens who wish to address the commission must fill out a comment card and forward it to the president or the clerk of the commission. Comments by any citizen will be limited to 3 minutes. I have no cards. Do you?
That's why I have none.
All right. Visitors.
Yes, sir, we do.
All right.
If you would bring that up right up here, please.
Andy, just come up to the microphone. Give us your name and address, please.
Jill Goldsberry at 1545 Line Avenue, Suite 228, Shreveport, Louisiana.
All right. Go ahead.
We have a community agency by the name of TEAMS that's training, education, and mediation for students. We are doing advocacy for children that are at risk of becoming involved with the court system or kids who have unique learning needs. Due to budget cuts, we are not even sure we can stay open the rest of the year, and we already have a waiting list for this school year. We are funded by the United Way, the Louisiana Bar Foundation, and the Office of Juvenile Justice. We're hoping the community can come together and give us enough support to keep us open. Hopefully that things will settle down, and maybe next year we'll be able to get more of our funding back.
All right. Have you filled out the paperwork necessary to put you on our NGO?
No, sir, but I'll be glad to do that.
All right. Erica, if you could let her know what she needs to do, fill out the paperwork.
I have a question.
I'll get her to send you an email,
Do
okay?
you have some,
Go ahead.
do you have some information on you all?
Did you bring a packet? Yes, ma'am, just a second.
Mr. Wilson, she said part of the funding came from the juvenile system. Was that funding from us that was cut, or?
That's they receive a grant through the Office of Juvenile Justice that is funneled through us. We then pay team.
All right, but it wasn't from Caddo Parish?
No.
Okay.
Not direct from.
All right.
Let me go get her your email.
Hold it down.
Good lead. put the speaker list on here?
This is one of the things Thank you.
Did you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to.
Okay, Mr. Dominic.
Erica, is this one of the, groups?
I need to ask a question.
Erica, is this one of the groups that the judges uses to try to prevent juvenile problems and issues? Is this one of the, that's on our standard list that we get?
Yes, it's just that they've been able to receive funding through the state, and the state just funnels that funding through us. It's a pass-through.
Yeah, I understood that. I'm just making sure they are.
Yes, they are.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, if you want to speak, you can need to raise your hand. I don't have my speaker list on here. I know I have Mr. Williams. Did you want to speak?
Thank you for coming, ma'am. I guess one of the things, I haven't heard a lot about you. And how long y'all been in existence?
We have been in existence 5 years. We're the first ever parents that have become court-appointed education advocates for the juvenile court system.
And you're on one of the lists for referrals for outreach from the juvenile court?
I'm not sure about that.
You're not? But I'm saying if the courts need to refer someone
Oh, yes,
for
sir.
community
Yes, sir.
service, you're not sure?
I didn't understand the question. A large majority of our referrals come from the FEMS program, so hopefully we can be active and the child doesn't actually get sent to the court system. So prevention is what we try to be available for.
Well, I would like to learn more about you, maybe not for the time consuming. I'm going to be conscious of the time. One of my colleagues always tell me, and I would like to visit with you and sit down and learn more about exactly what you do.
We would love to do that
Thank you.
whenever it's convenient for you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Ward, are you on here to speak? All right. Mr. Dominic, you already spoke. Mr. Williams spoke. Anyone else?
I'm on my buffet.
All right. Thank you very much. And,
Thank you.
And Erica will tell you what you need to do to get on our list.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, visitors.
Like I said, Ms. Simone Hennessy, Executive Director of the Providence House.
Simone Hennessy, 3945 Baltimore Avenue, Providence House 814 Cotton in Shreveport. Matthew Lynn is our commissioner. First of all, President and councilmen and councilwomen. I'm here to talk just a little bit about domestic violence. Last week, a woman in our community received over 40 text messages from her estranged husband threatening to burn her alive. She called the police. Another woman was held captive for 2 days by her boyfriend. She called the police. Last week, we had 32 domestic violence calls. That was just in 5 days alone. And there were 32 arrests. Domestic violence is certainly crippling crime for the victims, but it is also a drain on our community resources. Our organization very much approaches this particular problem as a partnership between you, the city, other parish governments, authorities, and the legal system. We are the fourth entity in this collaboration, and we want to share with you particularly that we are still, for this next year, about $174,000 from where we need to be for the upcoming budget for domestic violence. And I'm grateful in particular for the many years of support that y'all have given us for Providence House, and in particular for the domestic violence program. I believe that you have given us this last year $20,000 for that particular support. I am requesting that you consider an allocation this year, which we will have in writing, of $30,000, which will cover about 18% of that shortfall. This will cover about 625 nights of shelter for families with children this next year. But we also want you to know that we have respectfully requested $80,000 from the City Council here in Shreveport. We are requesting $40,000 from City Council in Bossier and $24,000 from the Bossier Police Jury. We all have been impacted by domestic violence at one level or another, and it will take all of us doing the work that we need to do in order to do this. The Domestic Violence Safe House program began in 2008. We are the largest safe house in the state of Louisiana. We can serve up to 20 families and 10 single women on any given night. Today we have 21 adults and 19 children in the safe house. And on the average, we are serving almost 40% more people daily than we did last year. Our most recent numbers indicate last month alone we saw a 132% increase in the number of crisis calls. We also provided 186 temporary restraining orders, and this alone is extremely important. Last year when I came to visit with you in what we call the Summer of Terror, where the community witnessed firsthand the impact of domestic violence, with 4 homicides in our area, and even one in the parking lot of a church. Caddo Parish ranks number 2 in domestic violence-related homicides in the state. 1 in 4 women will be impacted as a victim in their lifetime. And as you know, most of you know, my background is in business, but my heart is in this particular ministry that serves not only homeless families with children, but also survivors of domestic violence. The support that I'm asking you for will show a positive return, I think, on the investment that you are going to make. One of the points I think many people don't always understand, or that last year in the United States, businesses lost $7 billion in domestic violence due to employees calling in, and increased job security alone due to the threats. And it impacts every single one of us, not only in quality of life, but from a financial level as well. The Commission's additional support will go to more than just the Safe House, which provides food and shelter and counseling. Not all women need alternative housing in domestic violence. So that 24-hour-a-day hotline that we have provides tremendous support for people who don't want to come in but need advice on how to stay safe. So, developing the safety plan part of what we do with domestic violence is a critical part of what we do. That plan changes the pattern so that abusers cannot find them. As most of you know, temporary restraining order is just that. It's simply, it's a legal document, but it does not keep the survivor safe. What has to go with that is a safety plan so that he or she can change her behaviors that will keep her safe. These women are as much victims, and men are as much victims as those needing full-time support. So the additional support we're asking you to provide for us is those in providing actual services. Providence House, typically, we own all our own buildings except where the Safe House is located, which is in an undisclosed location. It costs us about $156,000 a year, and we have all the monies in place to support the upcoming rent. But without the support services that I just mentioned, we all know that a home is not a safe house without the services that we provide for the victims. So your additional support will ensure that all victims are served in the safe house or out in the community. And I cannot emphasize enough the importance of people that if they're not sure their circumstances are safe or they're not sure about their environment, they need to call the hotline. We have worked tirelessly since 2008 in the trenches on this whole issue. And as everybody knows, this is really an epidemic. And we have a very, very robust domestic violence awareness campaign coming up in October, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And in fact, one of the things that we provide as a part of Providence House is that as domestic violence survivors choose not to go back to their abusers, they can come into our regular program, which is a 2-year program to help them become financially secure and independent. And in fact, we have a graduation coming up next week on September 13th, and we have 5 domestic violence survivors that will be actually graduating from this program and living independently. So we're not here to ask for support for us. We're here asking for the women and men, like we mentioned before. For the woman who's still living in fear after being repeatedly threatened to be burned alive, for simply saying to that abuser, enough's enough. And for the woman who was choked and held captive for 2 days by someone who said that he loved her. We're asking for them. So as you receive our request, we hope that you will continue to keep in mind the victims, that your support will go on to help and keep safe. So thank you.
Thank you. I have a couple of people who'd like to ask you a question. Mr. Dominic?
Ms. Hennessy, I appreciate you coming here today and your report. As an attorney, I do deal with domestic issues, and my thoughts is it's just stuff has gone crazy, but I think your wording as far as an epidemic is a little bit better. I mean, I see it fairly frequently. As a lawyer that does some family law, and this text messaging and stuff is just, I could show you stuff, but I can't because of client confidentiality or any of you guys. It's just crazy. And I appreciate all the hard work you do. And as I mentioned, I want to get with you and try to work with getting the things out there in the rural community to try to prevent something from happening up there that seems so often to be happening in our area. So anyway, good luck. We'll see what we do to help you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I, too, like to appreciate all the work you've been doing for the public outcry and plight of the poor, but for also those that have been defenseless. And I'd like to echo what Commissioner Dominic has said. This epidemic and this is one of the most needed voids that need to be addressed. Because I hope that women nowadays in the 21st century, my family, there was plenty of victims of domestic violence, witness it and what it can do to a young man, that he can become violent also from growing up in this type of atmosphere. Do the women come to you and say, do they get any self-defense training to defend themselves from these type of situations? I know we shouldn't take the law in our own hand. However, in this day and time, I think they need to be equipped with some type of self-defense mechanism to defend themselves from predators that prey on women and use their hands and fists and weapons to hurt them. But also, I am very aware, being ranked number 2 in Caddo in the state of Louisiana, that's not good. We always rank for bad things in the state of Louisiana, and that's not one good for Caddo Parish. So if we can do anything, I don't think it's enough you ask for, but hopefully I will be supporting it. I can't speak for everybody else, but I definitely would be supporting it because I marched not too long ago for a young lady who got killed in Stony Hill from a domestic violence. All acts of violence is bad in our community, but I particularly marched for this particular situation called Operation Cease the Violence, Break the Silence. So I would hope that would be some type of tool, whether female or whoever the victim, male or female, have a 1-800 number where they can call. And let's be proactive and get involved and become whistleblowers. And don't be ashamed to reach out and cry out for help and worry about the repercussions of what may happen. But hopefully there need to be more address in protecting the victims from these type of situations. So here again, keep up the good work, and we thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you all for championing this cause. We appreciate it.
Wilson.
Good afternoon, President Thibodeau, Commissioners. We have a couple of things for you today. Our first guest, I don't think she is here yet from Comcast. She calls.
Here she is.
Oh, she is? All right. Well, certainly, Ms. Smith, would you please come forward? We have Ms. Frances Smith today with us. She's the Director of Government Relations and Regulatory Affairs for Comcast. We have several commissioners request for information, and she's been so kind to join us today. And welcome.
I'm Frances Smith, and I don't know your protocol. I've got business cards for everybody. Is it all right to come up and give them out?
Yeah, we'll give it out for you. Thank you, ma'am.
I appreciate y'all inviting me in today, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. I've had responsibility for the Caddo Parish, Shreveport area since about the end of June. I've met Mr. Thibodeau. I came down, my predecessor, Patricia Collins, brought me down here and was able to meet him, but I'm glad to be before you today. So I'm ready to help with whatever you may need, hopefully.
All right, I've got some folks that have some questions. Mr. Lynn?
May I have your cell phone number?
Yes, 601-832-3616.
601-832-3616. Your predecessor, when they came to visit last time, and I worked with them on moving a line from one pole to another pole because somebody wants to build a garage back there, but I've worked with them for a year, and of course he's Gary, I think was his name. Anyway, it never happened, and I was wondering what is the protocol for having a line moved from one pole to another pole so that someone can do a construction project on their property?
When you say my predecessor, are you meaning Patricia Collins? Because she's the person I replaced.
Okay, then
yes.
Maybe it was the person that she replaced.
Okay, and I'll get that information right. Typically, the protocol is we do everything we can to make it easy for people to do that. We do have to go through a design process. It's not as simple as just like moving it, and if there's not, typically the poles are not ours. That's kind of the other issue, is that it has to be, the pole has to be moved by whoever owns it.
The pole doesn't need to be moved, the line needs to be moved from one pole to another pole so it hits the house at a different angle.
I understand. Okay, that really honestly should not be that big a deal. It sounds like it's something that somebody didn't follow through on, and I'll be more than happy to get that information from you and get it to the office this afternoon.
I'm happy to
and see
meet
what we
with you
can
afterwards.
do. I'll be happy to do that.
Thank you. That's all.
Mr. Cox?
In an overview, give me your job, because I don't want to have to tell you something that you're not familiar with, or that's not your department. Are you over all the complaints? Because as commissioners in Shreveport, and I'm sure the city councilmen get them too, I get complaints about you guys all the time.
Well, yes, I would be a first contact for you. As Director of Government Affairs, my responsibility is to be a liaison with y'all.
Through us to the public, or to the public directly?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Here's what I got. I've got customers, or your customers, calling me, calling Mr. Webb in Southern Hills because lines are down, reception is bad, calls will not be answered. If they do get a call, it's to Memphis or North Carolina or something like that. They're asking me as a service entity, what are they getting for their buck? And because they can't talk to me, if they go down there, they talk to somebody that's behind the glass who all they want to do is collect your money. They're not there for customer problems. And I appreciate you coming out today. I really do. But we need more help so we can go back to the homeowners associations, which Mr. Smith and I in Southern Hills are part of, or customers in general, that we get these phone calls.
I hear you. And I will be honest with you. As I said, we took over responsibility for the Shreveport area out of the Jackson office very recently, and we have discovered some issues, things we're not happy about. We have got someone from our Atlanta office that is over here full-time during the week for about the next 2 to 3 months that's going to work with us on, I need to turn it back to you, but who's working with us on some design issues that are out there, meaning that some of the plant needs to be done in a better fashion. Some of the components on the plant need to be upgraded or done in a better fashion. So I'm going to stay in touch with y'all. You will see an improvement in the service level, the signals that the customers are getting.
which should cut down their need to call. First of all, that's the first thing we want to do, is cut down their need to call. That's the most important. We do operate with regional call centers. We've gone through a process probably the last 6 to 9 months of specializing our call centers, so that rather than everybody we hire having to know everything about our business, we direct certain calls to this call center for the repair calls, this call center for billing, another for retention, because that way we can train the employees there to be more specialized. That is still in process. I mean, the changes have now been made, but we are still kind of in a catch-up training process there. But until we get to the point where your constituents don't need to call, what I like to do is have you email me if you can, or call me, because by email, that way I can keep a record of everything, and that way I can follow through. I'm going to get that information to the local people here and say, this is a problem we've got in Shreveport, we need to get it fixed quickly. I've been pretty successful in the last couple of months in getting these turned around in about 24 hours. Very quick responses to it, where we, reinforce to the employees that that's the way we want the customers treated. And if you've got a specific area that we need to look at, I want to get that from you before I go, and I'll discuss it with the acting manager before I leave.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? But yes, to answer your short answer, it's a long answer to your short question. My role as Director of Government Affairs is to help the government officials get answers to their constituents. And so that is perfectly appropriate for you to call me.
I appreciate you coming out
yes,
today.
Absolutely appropriate.
Mr. Johnson?
Thank you, Mr. President. Basically, I got a couple of issues with Comcast. I've been getting a lot of calls myself, especially in the North Shreveport rural area and also out west. And basically, it's on the digital system, and you have the freeze frame, but it freezes up and skips and freezes up and skips. And the call for service, and a lot of times the service guys don't get there in that appointment time frame, which now people are staying at home so that they can get the service guy to come out. Then the service guy doesn't even show up, and so then they have to make another appointment. And I don't think there's anything that the service guy can do on those freeze frames. I think it's a system issue.
Not necessarily.
You know, talk about the
The tile, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's two issues I got. It's the appointment times not being met, and then the service of the digital system with the freeze frames. And recently, I think coming in October, we're going up on the rates.
There you go.
So with the rates going up and people having problems, our phone's going to be ringing a lot more.
What I mentioned a few minutes ago about the system upgrades that we're doing and the people that are in here to specialize, that will fix some of the problem that you're talking about. The digitizing and freeze framing can be a number of things. It can be a squirrel chewed on the line, so there's ingress in the line that's causing the signal not to be as solid as it needs to be. It can be an equipment problem. There are numerous things that could be, so that's why we do need to get to the house to take a look at it and see. But as we tighten up the system, we will see a lot less of that. The issue of the service calls is another thing our call center specialists are working on, because we have found a couple of things happening. One is that a customer is being told your service call is Wednesday, so they go home, but it's actually not this Wednesday, it's a different date, and they're not being given the date, they're being given a day, and so there's a misunderstanding. So we actually, from the local area, are working on a different schedule sometimes from what the customer thinks. If we don't make an appointment window, I mean, if we show up, but we show up late, we do give the customer credit as an inconvenience for their time. And the difficulty there is we work on 2-hour windows, and until I walk into your home, we don't really know exactly what the problem is or how long it's going to take to fix it. And so you hope you can fix it in a 2-hour window, but if you walk into a situation that requires a little more extensive work, we certainly don't want him leaving that particular customer unfinished to get to the next appointment. We try to call ahead to let them know that we're going to be running late or whatever, but it's not a perfect system, but it is one that we are trying to make better. But you will see some of those service issues getting a lot better as the system gets tightened up. And again, I promise to keep all of you informed as we move along on that.
When will the upgrades be complete?
That's what I don't, it's some kind of an ongoing process. I will tell you that About 3 weeks ago, we had a crew in here that thought they were going to be able to upgrade like 6 of the nodes, and they were only able to do 1 because of the problems they found. So I'm going to try to get you a time frame. Again, I will let you know. I'll get y'all some detailed information after I talk with the gentleman from Atlanta of what the plan is and how that's all working. And then my boss, Ronnie Colvin, who is the overall vice president for the technical operations for Shreveport now, is an engineer. But he was a graduate engineer, so he understands the process. He's been spending a lot of time down here too. So I'll get y'all some more information so you'll be able to give your constituents some answers.
Thanks.
And it's the worst thing you can do is that, so I will get you some answers.
Williams. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Smith, welcome to Caddo Parish.
Thank you.
We appreciate the service that Comcast has been provided over the years. With once Time Warner, when they came in, we franchised them in years ago.
Right. I remember those days. I was with Time Warner. I've got almost 30 years in the cable industry. I started with Time Warner and went with Comcast when it switched over. So I used to know, some of y'all might remember Mike D'Ambra, who was the general manager when it was Time Warner.
Remember Dick Johnson? Remember Dick Johnson?
Yes, I do. Yes,
Smith.
I do.
Here again, I think some of the, I'm one of the main ones who request you to come here because I received numerous of calls about some of the services, some of the rates, and some of the prices that was going on. And some of my calls from people on Fixcom and senior citizens. And I don't know what the fair market value is in terms of rates and competitors with DirecTV and Cable One and everybody else. But some of the people saying in their bill there was some hidden fees and some rates went up that they was not aware of. And there's always two sides to the story. So I wanted you to come and you pretty much explaining to Commissioner Cox and Commissioner Johnson concerning the things that are affecting the districts. Do y'all have any type of special program, a sliding fee schedule? Because we know people on Fixcom and everybody have to have cable, some type of cable nowadays. And they might have a very diverse district, and in certain parts of my district, a lot of people can't afford any higher rates for services. And do y'all have any special sliding fees for the people that can't afford cable?
Well, our sliding scale is the fact that we offer different options for service. And that is done that way so that people can select a package of services that they can afford. Our limited basic level of services, it's about 23 channels, is still right at $23, $24. There's some taxes and fees on top of that. Somebody wants a few more channels, they don't have to go to the full digital lineup. They can get the family tier, get another 15, or they can get our digital economy for $34.95, and that's the 23 basic channels and another 31 channels plus a digital box, access to the pay-per-view if they want that. I mean, people have a tendency to quote the price of cable for the package that the majority of the people order, which is digital starter or digital preferred, but there are levels of service that are much less expensive than that. And that is because they're the programming services that don't continue to raise rates to us. The programming is good, it's solid programming, but that is how we treat the sliding scale of people on different incomes, is that we keep it in different levels and packages of service so that people can pick a level of service they can afford.
And the customer service department is people don't get a return calls, and we could even call. You could call your office here. We had to call almost a week just to get somebody to call us back. That's not good. And we almost had to come over and ask our administration to go over there and sit down and wait on somebody just to call us back. They didn't call us back. They did not call us back. It took a while to get to you, even get someone to come to even call.
Well, and I apologize for that. I do know that numerous letters have come to the commission office with my name and number in them. And Patricia Collins wrote a letter introducing me as the person who would be taking her place. Now, people may have misplaced that information, and I am very, very sorry.
To my locally, when people need help, they're catering it all. We couldn't call nobody here. That's not good.
Right, if you call the office here, it's going to go to one of the call centers because the office here is primarily for technical operations for the service calls and to take care of the plant, billing, and that kind of thing. It will be transferred to one of the call centers.
So
But they should be able to get you in touch, at least with me or someone that you need to speak with.
Someone in the community that need cable don't want to talk to you. They need to talk to somebody who's nice, customer service, on that phone, and they need help. A lot of times, the people that they're talking to treat people bad on the other line. They don't be nice to them. Because I called myself, and because I wanted to get the facts. I called myself, and they treated me bad. And I don't even have your service. I have DirecTV. But they treated me bad on the phone.
Okay, well, do me this favor. If that ever happens to you, our call centers record every phone call that comes in. And on those occasions that I've had customers call and say, they told me this and it wasn't true, or they were rude to me, or whatever, if I have the phone number that you called from, I can find that phone call.
Yeah, we can.
And we can find the employee that treated you that way, and that won't be tolerated. I will tell you that is not the way we want customers treated. And again, with all of the employees we have in the call centers, they are not all going to be perfect. They need coaching, they need training, but if they are rude to our customers and not giving them the correct information, they're also not going to be there much longer. And they are monitored, they're coached. I apologize for that happening to you, but I hear what you're saying, and you're sharing those things with me, and I need to hear them. But I also hear from a lot of people about how polite our customer service reps are. So we know there's some out there that are doing the right job. And we're actually able to clear, I think the percentage now is like 28% of the service calls we can clear over the phone by coaching people through their own problems so that they don't have to make an appointment to be at home. And they, we've really worked hard to train what we call in-house techs to be able to walk people through some of those problems. We have specialized centers for people with phone and internet. And, again, no system works perfectly all of the time, but I will work with y'all to make sure it works as well as it can most of the time.
Now, how often you say you report, because I've never met you, this is my first. How often you say you come before this body and report about the progress or the changes at Comcast? How often you say you come here?
We'll say as often as it's necessary, but I can keep you posted via email and through letters and that kind of thing, so you'll actually have something that you can refer to, with the information on the different areas. But, I'll be here as much as is necessary.
I'm saying, but we had to reach out and call you to come here today. If that wouldn't have happened, would you have come before today?
Oh, absolutely, yes. In fact, I have been here twice for specific issues I needed to be down here for. And I know this is not something y'all care about. I inherited 41 new areas. And so over the past month and a half, I've been trying to get around to all of them to meet the people that are responsible for there, and I can handle that. That's not a problem. But, 1 week we had the hurricane, and then there's certain things going on in other areas going on. We've been trying to get our Internet Essentials program up this fall, so I've been working more with school districts than I have with my local elected officials, through the month of August and that kind of thing. But I absolutely would have become before this body without this phone call.
How often is your franchise license renewed in a certain county? Or
it really depends. Sometimes they're every 5 years, sometimes it's 10, sometimes we're working off a 20-year agreement. I know that my predecessor sent me a document. She was working with Caddo Parish for the renewal here, and I don't think it actually has been totally finalized. I know there's been some negotiation going back and forth, and I need to get with your parish attorney and see. She sent a document back with our latest comments, but we have not gotten any return comments, and I think it may be because she didn't know that needed to come to me. So
there's a certain amount that the parish receive for your franchising fee tax come to us?
5%. Yes,
5%.
it does. 5%. That's the maximum allowed by law.
Yeah.
It's renewed it last year,
Okay.
Was it last year or year before?
It's not renewed yet. It's still in process. It's close, but it's still in
So
process.
what is it every what? Y'all know?
You know, Charles?
I think this was a 10-year agreement that I saw.
How often it's renewed?
Donna, 10 years. Donna, 10 years.
10 years.
Has it always been at 5%, or is we locked in at 5%?
5% is the maximum allowed by federal law.
Okay. My final question would be that I hope that, because we have to be sensitive to people on the other line, and maybe the words don't always be correct, but Shreveport is a high concentration of illiteracy here. We have a lot of people that are poor and high school dropout. But also, there should be no excuse for nobody to be rude either way.
Absolutely. It's never paraded.
I just hope that people are sensitive to the people that are calling. Cable's out, they may not have the right word, the right approach. And they got children in the background, and we ain't got no TV, mama. We need to get our TV on. It takes weeks for people to get out there. And I did my own research on some of the customer service, and I hope that from this day forward that we can do a better job, and I believe you will.
I do too.
I believe you will, and here again, we appreciate you being here, good corporate citizens to Shreveport area, but I think it's time for an improvement and some upgrades.
I agree with you, and we are really, really working very hard on that, I promise you. While I've got here for just a second, are y'all familiar with our Internet Essentials program?
Before we go into that, we've still got 5 more people that want you.
Oh, okay.
So, unless you want to be here until 10:30 tonight, tell us about it.
I'm here to work. I got people hurting in my
Mr. Escobar?
I'm asking.
Ms. Smith, what is the overall percentage of the increase that's going to go into effect in October?
I'd have to go back and look at some records. When the percentage of increase that I have seen is based upon the most common package of services, and it's about 5%.
Okay. And I know you're a big company, but is that increase going to stay here to reinvest in equipment, or what are you going to do with the increase?
Most of it goes to pay for programming. The majority of our increases, or the thing that causes the need for increases, is the programming. The programmers charge what they charge us.
Right.
And those fees going up, and typically that's what most of it is for, but yes, I mean, certainly there is an investment, and there's one going on right now, in terms of upgrading and investing in the marketplace, but it's also an investment in the overall systems to be able to offer the faster speeds of internet that people have been crying for. We've recently, I think over the last few months, introduced a 50 megabits per second level of speed, up from 20, and those kinds of things are being invested in these markets because it takes certain electronics and certain things done in our local markets to be able to do that. I mean, I can't promise you every penny stays here. I'm down to the count, and I don't know, but yes, certainly, certainly it does.
I
Yes.
appreciate what you do. I mean, I just, everything I have is Comcast, phone, internet, cable, and all that. But I would think that, and I understand you want to invest in higher internet speed and so forth, but it seems to me that the comments that I get, the calls I get, are just on poor cable reception. It seems to me if we should get the basic cable down right first, adequate, then we work on to the other things, because it's not just where I live, Broadmoor, Spring Lake, Piermont, you're watching, and all of a sudden, it's scrambling, and that used to not happen before we went digital, but it's citywide. I'm watching a local station, which is provided on cable, and then all of a sudden, it goes blank, it goes blue, and it says, I'm not authorized to receive this channel, and I've been watching it all damn day. And then after a couple of minutes, it comes back up. These are weird things that I just wonder if y'all are aware of, and it's not just at my home, it's all over.
We are aware of it, and that's why I stated that we've got people here from Atlanta that are working with us to tighten up the system. And interestingly about cable is sometimes it takes the digital and the internet and the additional phone products, that kind of thing, to reveal that there are things out there. When we were just a video company and just analog, there's a lot of forgiveness in a cable system under that scenario. But when you start adding services like phone and internet, your system has to be a little more pristine. And that's what we're working on to see happen in Shreveport. I really do think you'll see some improvements. The message well received.
Well, I hope so, because regardless of what tier people have, they're paying to have that service provided. And I understand when the weather's bad and things like that, but when there's no reason for it to go out or to be out or to have interrupted service, it's just doesn't seem like you're holding up your end of the deal. So I'm glad you're aware of those changes, and that's why when you said they came to fix 6 of the modulars or whatever, and could only fix one.
Well, in the time frame, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to misstate. It was in the time frame they thought they could do 6. They were able to do
That's
one
why I was
area.
asking about
Yeah.
the resources.
Right.
You know, do you have the resources here locally? Do you have the available resources to do what you need to do?
We do, and we've actually brought some people in.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Baker?
Ms. Smith, thank you for coming today. Do you live here?
No, I don't. I live in Jackson, or north of Jackson, Mississippi. My office is in
You
Jackson.
mentioned earlier you have 41 areas. Is that?
Well, some of them are pretty small. I mean, you know, they're not all large cities like Shreveport. They're smaller areas, yes, but I do. But again, I've been in the business for a long time, so I've developed relationships with a lot of those areas that I cover already.
You have any help?
I do.
So you have someone here local that can do what you can do?
I have someone that I'm working with locally that helps me when I need to take care of something locally very quickly and I can't get down here, yes.
That's one of our, and yeah, I think everybody's pretty much said that that's one of my biggest problems. We don't have anyone local that watch the cable, because I'm like Commissioner Williams, I have direct, but we don't have anyone. Do we have anyone here that's watching?
We do. We have made some recent changes in some of our senior staff, and we are, again, as I said earlier, and please hear, we know there are problems in Shreveport, and we've made some changes, and we're going to be making more to fix that. So, yes, we are watching the system very closely. That's why we brought in a specialist from Atlanta to help us so that we could fix them faster.
So you're saying in the next month or so we'll see a difference?
I'll get you the time frame that they're working under of what their estimate is of when they'll be able to get things, you know, back in the order that we want to see it.
One last question. How often do you come to this area?
It really depends on what's going on and how often I need to be down here. Probably once a month, maybe every 6 weeks. I stay in touch by phone, you know, more often than that.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Smith, thank you for coming as well. I just have one question about the general manager position. It seems to be constantly evolving. Is there someone going to be here that in a senior management position that will help build a system back up?
We're going to have a senior technical manager that will be here because, again, the majority of the work here is in the technical side, in the field, whatever, so we will have a senior technical manager here. They're interviewing for that as we speak.
Okay.
Mr. Johnson?
Change the subject a little bit. I think last year you rolled out a low-income internet service for kids that was on free lunch to households. I went out and I talked to some of my constituents about that, and one of the main things that came back, feedback that I got back, was some of the senior citizens would like to have that same kind of service. They feel that they can get on the internet. They're not too old to get on it and learn a few things about the internet, because when they get their grandchildren over, they can do all kind of stuff and they're kind of like lost on what's going on. So they want to know if they could get some type of program set up like that as well.
We don't have a program like that. That's come up. Some other people have asked about that. But for the next couple of years, our focus is going to be on the school children, because we recognize the digital divide does keep some kids from keeping up with their classmates. I've talked to parents who, prior to Internet Essentials, have been having to get home from work, drive their child to the library, spend 2 hours there while they're trying to do homework, and then the library only allows them 2 hours so they don't get finished, whatever. So our goal at this point is to try to help this digital divide, and that's our concentration right now.
Okay. Mr. Lynn?
What percentage of time do you offer for PSAs?
We don't really have a percentage of time, you know, for that. It's, you know, if people need to run a PSA, we, you know, certainly talk to them. You know, we have a channel where we can run some of those.
To
But
do
we,
a certain
no,
amount
no,
of
we're not.
PSAs, would that be something that Charles Grubb would write in the contract or something like that? Offer? Is it, if your cable goes out, pick up a book?
I don't think I understand what you're saying
It was
there.
an idea for a PSA.
Yeah.
That's
We
it.
do run PSAs periodically, and we've got a channel that we do that, but there's never been a specific
promote reading
designated
rather
amount
than-
for that.
It was something that would promote reading rather than stagnation in front of a TV.
Good point.
All right. That's all, Mr. President.
Well, if
Thank you.
someone else will put a PSA that says, if I wanted to read a book, I wouldn't have cable. Michael?
No, mine is to the administration. Thank you, guys. A lot has been said today, and there is no exclusivity to Comcast here, rights, and I believe in a free enterprise market, and there ought to be some competition. There are other cable companies I feel that would help to put cables in line with the fair market value and make it price it even better for our customers. So I hope in the future that this administration will reach out to other cable companies, see if they want to do business in Caddo. We're open for business. Suddenly, there are others that I feel could come here and do equal or better. So hope that because of what's been going on, and we can reevaluate them again. They come before us. We have the authority to approve franchises. So to make it a level playing field for everybody, and they want to provide a good service and people that we can talk to here locally. Because customer service is very important to any business. And unfortunately, we haven't had that from Comcast in a while. And after today, I hope that we don't be having this discussion again about customer service and upgrades and new products, that they will have a plan of action to improve the quality of service that they provide. Because nobody gives you a rebate when they mess up. When the TV goes further, they don't send them no check back. So hopefully they will get in line and try to fix the problem. Because there ought to be a rebate when they do wrong, when they mess up. When they don't provide their service for that time, they didn't send no check back to us. So that's a lot been said here again, and we appreciate her coming down today. And hopefully in the future we'll be informed, proactive, and inform the commission body of things like this forthcoming. And we'll be having these type of open discussions. There seem to be some problems. The people have called most of us, and they'll address them. And I think if we were to take that course of action, we can see a lot of problems getting resolved. And at that time, I appreciate if you would investigate that and see how can we fix this problem. Thank you for coming, Ms. Smith, and look forward to hearing from you in your future and what you're going to be doing for the citizens here in Caddo and the architects.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Yeah, I'll be hearing from you very shortly.
All right.
No, we will.
I appreciate it so much. Pleasure meeting you too. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Wilson?
Yes, sir. We're here. Mr. James Jimichet is going to come and talk to us about the race for the cure. We have an announcement concerning that matter.
Good to see Commissioner Bowman today. How you doing, sister?
Fine.
Keep it fight.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I've been asked to present to you the annual Race for the Cure that will be sponsored by Susan G. Coleman. The race will be Saturday, September the 15th, 7 a.m. at Century Link Center. The color of the shirt, we had brown last year, and it was commissioning for the Cure 2011. This year, we're using the same theme, commissioning for the Cure 2012. The only difference is they're changing the color of the shirt from brown to a teal. I also have a sign-up sheet. I got great participation from the commission last year. They have shirts ranging from the size small to extra large, 2X to 3X, 4X, and go all the way up to 5X. And so we got you covered in your sizes. If you're small or if you like a lot of room, we have enough. The small to extra large is $14. 2X, 3X is $16. And if you need anything over a 3X, it's going to cost you $18. And I have a sign-up list and willing to take your money today.
Is that the fat tax?
I don't want to say
Requires a little bit more cotton, sir.
I'm just asking for a living. You more than enough.
find any little extra, I come get it from you.
You're welcome to it.
But if any of the commissioners are interested in purchasing, they will be closing out orders on tomorrow. After the meeting, if you're interested, please let me know, and I will get your name and your sizes, and we will let you know when your shirts will be delivered.
All right, thank you. Mr. Wilson, anybody else?
Yes, sir. I have a couple other things, sir. In accordance with Section 5-01 of the Caddo Parish Home Rule Charter, I'm pleased to present for your consideration my recommendation for Mr. Jonathan Kevin Lawrence as Director of Facilities and Maintenance for the Parish of Caddo. I've offered, and he's accepted a salary of $74,588, grade U5, Step 5, on the PACE chart for unclassified employees. And most of y'all know Kevin. Kevin, would you stand up, please? Kevin's been employed with us for 12 years, and all that time he's been in the maintenance department. And most of our initiatives around the parish energy efficiency initiatives, Kevin has led the way in that. He comes well qualified. He's a journeyman licensed mechanical person, and he has a wealth of experience in the facilities area. And certainly, I think he will do a great job for us, and that's why I'm recommending him for this position. Okay.
Congratulations, man.
Okay, Mr. Smith?
No, it's committee report.
Oh, okay.
Just one item, last item, Commissioner.
I noticed he lives over there in Bossier with you, would he?
Yes, sir. We're talking about that. We talked about that.
We've got to work on our chart and make sure our parish ministers live in the Caddo Parish.
I just made a comment, Michael. You don't have to expand on it. Observation.
Go ahead, Mr. Wilson.
But I own property to pay tax in Caddo. Okay. All right.
Oh, I know that.
Okay. Also, in addition to one more item, Mr. Mike Spence will be over on Thursday to give a report on this voters' photo ID and voter requirements. Commissioner Lynch asked that to occur, that Mr. Spence to come over and kind of give us an idea on what the process is. We know we have photo ID in Caddo Parish throughout Louisiana. And if you go to a poll, if you left your ID home, you could do an affidavit and still vote. But he'll be over here Thursday to explain it to us, the process.
I'd like to go on Sunday.
Okay. And that concludes my report.
What about Kelly? Well,
All right, well, community and committee report. Mr. Smith?
The Resource Committee met today, and we have two requests for leasing of property. One is from Tacoma Energy, and the other Strata Acquisitions, and we'll be bringing that to the full body on Thursday for your approval. Sir?
All right, Mr. Epperson?
Yes, sir. I'd like to mention that Mr. Clifford Pennywell passed on the 27th of August.
that was my coach.
After he had a 34-year career in the Caddo Parish school system, from Union High School to Booker T. Washington, and he finished up at Keithville Elementary. He made a lasting impression on a number of males in Caddo Parish, mentally and physically.
He got me.
He never refrained from resorting to the Board of Education with us, as well as the rod of correction.
I like that.
So that's why you see so many of the thousands or hundreds of kids, young men in Caddo Parish that came up under his teaching, mentoring, coaching, that did so well in today's society. Just a reflection, when I was in junior high, I was on him from junior high all the way to 12th grade. He taught us you're going to respect the young girls, you're going to have a clean body and a clean mind, you're going to respect the teachers, and if you would come to school and somebody say you did not have no deodorant on, you was going down to Coach Pennywell to the shower.
That's right.
And those are the kind of things that we had. He focused on education as well as physicality on the athletic field. A great man and a great loss.
Hey, what do you think you do if you saw sagging today?
Pardon?
What do you think you do if you saw sagging today?
Hey, he left better. There was no sagging in those days. But anyway, I want to bring that to you all mind, and you all may know his wife, Miss Josie Pennywell. She retired from the Caddo Parish school system too. So, if you would call them and call her up and acknowledge that. Mr. Grass, I have a Mr. Harvey Allen at 7412 Greenwood Spring Ridge Road. We've been going back and forth about a dead tree. Our man says it belongs to Louisiana Department of Transportation Development. They went out and they say it belongs to the resident. So would you please see if you could referee that situation?
Referee, I like that.
Okay. All right. So that's all I have, Mr. President. Thank you.
Yeah, close pretty well. My dad must have had some conversations. They sort of agreement as to how to handle a young man. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like the administrator to provide me with copies of all the contractors and vendors that are doing business with the parish, the one that specifically $100,000 and above. Not only me, you can provide it to the other commission as well.
You can.
If you can be more specific regarding minority contractors from 100,000 and above, and even more specific, African Americans. Thank you.
All right. Any old business?
No, sir, there's a few notes, just to bring to the commission. The commission says property standards board review at the end of this work session. The commission will sit as a tax board review Thursday, September 6th during the regular session. And the commission will select the fiscal agent bank for October 1st, 2012 until September 30th, 2013 for the Parish of Caddo at the September 20th meeting.
All right.
That'll move us to new business. Zoning case appeal BAP-12-12, property located at 3456 Villa Avenue on the west side of the south end of Villa Avenue. Audra Jowers and Joey Corsentino applicants, Ethel Kelly appellant. Request to rezone property located at 3456 Villa Avenue for a special exemption in an R1D urban one-family residence district to permit an extension of the time limit for a temporary secondary residence structure mobile home. The Zoning Board of Appeals approved the applicant's request. The appellant is appealing the decision.
Move to Thursday.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Escaday, second by Mr. Cox. I got Mr. Dominic.
It's okay, I will move the englobo of the rest of the items on new business to Thursday.
Second.
I've got just one comment on one of them on under 007, one right below that, says Commissioner Thibodeau. I just want to change the wording. The wording I have on there is a little sloppy. Just change it to shop Caddo for the holidays.
Oh, yeah.
That's a little better. Great English.
Shop Caddo
for the teacher.
Oh. I don't have anyone else. Yes, Mr. Epperson.
Mr. Bryan, is, let's see, I just got a copy of this. Is that deal in there relative to that tuition
No, sir, we
reimbursement?
removed the language.
Ma'am?
We removed the language.
Remove that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, we got a, yeah, we got. Cast your vote, please. It passes 11-1. And then we have the items that were added by.
We have authorizing Ms. Stacy Brown as visitor at Thursday's agenda.
Second.
First.
Second.
I believe that was moved by Mr. Williams and second by Mr. Escaday. Cast your vote, please. That passes 11-0.
Authorize confirmation of Mr. Kevin Lawrence as Director of Facilities and Maintenance.
So moved. Second by Mr. Dominic, second by Mr. Williams. Next vote, please. That passes 11-0.
Have our consent agenda, then we move to our Property Standards Board.
I have one thing on consent agenda, if I may, Mr. President.
All right.
Ordinance number 5228, I think we removed that. I had that taken off because we decided we were going to do something else. Is that correct, Ms. Bryant?
You can amend it at Thursday meeting.
Well, we'll check it. I'll check and make sure if it needs to be
We were
removed.
going to use money somewhere. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so.
We already have the money appropriated.
I'll check the minutes. If it failed, we'll remove it. If it's removed, I'll remove it for Thursday's agenda.
All right.
So you made the minute.
It'll work. We're okay. Okay, property standards hearing.
Yeah, we got to.
Do we need to adjourn? I guess adjourn.
Move adjourn.
All right, and
I'm not on that committee.
property standards hearing.
Everybody got to stay? Everybody has to stay?
We need 7.
Shouldn't take long.
Okay, move to go to